All right. Good evening, everybody. At this time, I will call the Planning Commission meeting of May 15th, 2024 to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Thompson?
Present.
Vice Chair Malakoff?
Here.
Chair Daley?
Present?
Commissioner Lowe?
Present.
Commissioner Lee?
Present.
Let the record show all members are present.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone on the dais and in the audience to please stand for the flag salute. Thank you. Are there any items on the agenda that need to be changed?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Doing things a little different tonight. I think we're opening with public comments. Item 1, the public is invited to address the Planning Commission on any matter not on the agenda. If you wish to speak on an agenda item, please wait to be recognized under that item. Except for special circumstances, the Brown Act prohibits the Planning Commission or staff from responding or taking action on any comments made by the public unless it pertains to an item that appears on the agenda. All speakers should give their name and city of residence. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Is there anybody who would like to be heard on a matter not on the agenda?
Do we have anyone who wishes to speak? There's no one in the audience wishing to speak.
Okay, then I will now close public comments and move on to the second item 1, the approval of minutes. Are there any requests to speak on this item from the public?
There are no members looking to speak.
All right, hearing none. Are there any changes to those minutes?
No changes.
Okay, then I'll ask for a motion from the commissioners to open discussion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Great. Any further comments or discussion regarding the prior minutes? No? Then we'll vote.
Let the record show a motion was made by Commissioner Lee and seconded by Commissioner Thompson. Motion passes with all ayes.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on to the public hearing items. Item 3A, might be 2A, tentative track map number 38902. And before we begin, I understand that Vice Chair Malakoff has a disclosure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to disclose that my employer works with Herman Design Group, but not on this project. There's no conflict. I reported it at the last meeting also, so I just wanted to cover it one more time.
Thank you, sir.
Chair,
Yes.
I need to recuse myself from this item because my primary residence is within 500 feet of the subject property.
Understood. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Hi.
Good evening. How you doing, Chair Daley? Good afternoon or evening, commissioners. So this is a continued public hearing from the May 1st Planning Commission meeting. Just a very brief background. At that meeting, the commission conducted a public hearing on a specific plan amendment for the Rio Vista Village specific plan. They looked at a density bonus, and they considered the tentative track maps associated with that application. They did vote to continue this item to this evening's hearing. They did move all other items forward to the Planning Commission, to the City Council with a recommendation for approval. City Council did have their public hearing on May 8th and introduced an ordinance to approve the specific plan amendment and the density bonus. and also approve the tentative track maps for the single-family lots that was proposed. So this evening is a discussion, or a hearing, I should say, on tentative track map 38902. So this is a condominium map over the multifamily zoned properties within the specific plan. It's about 32 acres. There's 6 lots for residential units and 1 lettered lot for amenity. It would allow up to 375 dwelling units. There is a mix of housing types that conceptually could be plotted within the lots. There are 2 points of access, one off of Landau in Rio Vista Village, and then there's a second one that's over on the northwest end on Rio Rosalia Drive. So the tentative track map was provided as part of the packet. The last page was an index map, but it also serves as a good reference point to look at how the lotting is proposed. The underlying, this particular exhibit does show conceptual underlying plotting of homes. For purposes of a condominium map, the Subdivision Map Act does not require, nor could a city require, that a site plan or the development plan be accompanied with the tentative track map. But for reference purposes, there is a concept plotting. These are the 6 lots, and Lot A is in the middle for the amenity, a common amenity that would be potentially developed under this concept. But what I will say about this is, though, even though the plotting is concept, the specific plan amendment that the City Council moved to adopt does contain the development standards that's applicable to the multifamily development. And so that would cover such things as setbacks from the front yard, rear yard, private streets, public streets, separation between buildings based upon the type of building heights or building types. It also covers things such as building height, lot coverage. Those standards are all standards that are required under the specific plan. And in addition to that, to address the development of the subsequent lots, there is a condition of approval that would require an administrative design review be filed prior to a building permit. And that condition would require the site plan development, landscape plans, photometric plans, all the site improvements that we would typically see, but that would be done at an administrative design review level. But there are concept plans like we're talking about. So there's this exhibit which shows the potential plotting. It shows duplexes, attached townhomes, which is about 5 to 6 units in there, single-family detached. These are all condominium units, but within the condominium map, they could allow for different types of housing. These are, again, concept architectural elevations for the single-family detached condominiums, concept architectural elevations for the duplex, and then also architectural elevations for the townhome units. So again, these are just concept plans. When the plans do come in, they are required to meet the architectural requirements and the community character guidelines for the project. The Planning Commission also considered and made a recommendation to the council to find that the overarching project, which was the amendment to the specific plan and the tentative track maps, there was a CEQA consistency analysis that was done. Under that analysis, it was determined that the project was consistent with the previous mitigated neg deck done for the specific plan, and also with our general plan that was just, our general plan EIR that was just certified last year, or a couple of years ago. So for purposes of this project, which was continued, the commission is being asked to find that the project is exempt from further CEQA review. I do want to, at this time, indicate that the staff report and draft conditions was shared with the applicant, and they are requesting some amendments to the conditions of approval. Planning staff and engineering staff, Mr. Corolla did speak with the applicant and identify those conditions that, the requested revisions, we did identify those that we support, and we're going to provide them this evening. So what we're proposing is to omit condition 1.7, and to amend condition 1.8, consistent with what we did with the last conditions for the single-family tentative tract maps, identify that there's the purchase and performance agreement. This is just wording regarding the subdivision agreement that is most likely going to be accompanying the final map. We also have, these are public works-related conditions, but again, we're referencing that it's supplemental CCNRs, so that's in these two conditions. Again, the supplemental CCNRs. These are not substantive changes, but we did want to reflect them, advise the commission, so that when the commission makes a recommendation, it would be to approve the revised conditions. Again, 4.19, a very simple change having to do with park lines. It's not applicable in this particular instance. And again, just supplemental CCNRs, consistent with what we looked at last time. And again, we have reviewed the request and we are in agreement with the changes. With that, I would recommend that the Planning Commission continue the public hearing, or conduct the continued public hearing, find the project exempt from CEQA, approve the tentative tract map based on the findings, and also approve the revised conditions of approval. Staff is available for comments. The applicant's representatives are also present in the audience if there's questions for the developer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Vice Chair Malakoff, do you have any questions for staff?
No, I don't.
Sorry, I'm always surprised. Commissioner Thompson? No. Okay. Commissioner Lee?
Yeah, a couple. Could we go back to slide 5 in your deck there, which is that one, yeah. So I understand that this is not necessarily the layout that's going to end up. Could you just explain a bit more about the process of the approval of the plan that they do come up with for these properties?
Yes, so the tentative map for the condos, when it's recorded, it will establish the lots that we're seeing here bounded by the red lines. It also identifies the locations of private streets and service lanes. And so this concept plan is designed with those service lanes, with those public streets. And so a developer that comes forward could decide that this concept plan works for them and move forward with a site plan. Before a building permit would be submitted, they would provide us the site plan.
Right, so the major structures of the streets are fixed on, as shown here.
Yeah, they're fixed on the public streets. There might be some ability to flex the private streets a little bit, but anything that's substantially different than the map could require reconsideration for the revisions.
Okay, so I noted on this page, and I know it's not the final plan, so but I'm just curious. It talks about this being a gated community. So is that the intent, that this would be gated within the Rio Vista Village?
Yes, so there's, the plan shows that it's gated at Landau Boulevard and gated up on this Rio Rosalia Drive. That's the proposal for the tentative tract map.
But we don't know whether that will apply to the final.
You know, there's some ability for, we think that it will, but if the builder decides that they don't want to gate it, that would be not a substantial change that would require any type of rehearing.
And do we, normally if it's a gated community, do we actually adopt those streets, or are they normally?
They're private.
Yeah.
Everything in here is going to be private streets.
Okay.
Going through an entryway, whether they choose to gate it or not.
Oh,
Most
okay.
developers would say, we want it gated because that's the kind of clientele they're going to want in there, or that clientele will probably want it because they'll say, why don't you put up gates? Because it gives us that sense of security. The map you're looking at is what it's substantially going to look like.
Right.
So there could be some slight modifications, but the location of the streets and how they generally circulate, So I was listening to it's going to look pretty close to that. There could be some little administrative changes and
Okay.
changes on whatever product they're putting in there to fit it, but it'll look very similar to this.
But the streets in the enclosed area would be private.
Private.
We were talking last week about the city adopting those streets in the rest of Rio Rancho.
On the
in-
exterior, those are considered public-private streets, meaning we maintain from curb to curb.
Right.
Developer maintains from curb to the right end of the right-of-way.
But in this track map, then, it's the other way around. They're
Everything
going to maintain all of that.
Everything inside the walls, it will have walls or fences around it. Going through an entryway, everything inside is all private.
Okay.
So there's actually a point of demarcation. You can kind of see it on that map right there where that little red entryway is. Right when the color red starts.
Yep.
That's the HOA. It'll future probably be an HOA that has to make.
Yeah, well, that's what prompted the question. I saw that on the map and I wasn't sure what we were doing. So moving on from that, this goes to, what was the term for the review? It comes to the planning department for a review.
Administrative design review.
Administrative, yeah. Do we have objective standards for those reviews? Are they documented?
We don't have adopted objective standards. We have what's in the specific plan.
Right.
And the community character guidelines, which is a separate document that identifies architectural requirements
Okay.
in there.
All right, thank you. And then going to the northeast element of this, where the future commercial area is. So if I have this right, there would be a wall along the edge of the condominium properties and then an access road, is that correct? And then the industrial area.
There's this boundary wall along the north perimeter of the site, of the multifamily site.
Okay,
Landau Boulevard extends north and would potentially go northwest. But there's not a road between the
No,
the
answer
home
is yes.
and the future
There's
commercial.
a wall behind the
No,
Right.
but there's
other
no,
development.
there's
No.
no wall right behind,
Right.
there's no road. Yeah.
you're both correct, as we say in
Yes.
these meetings. So, yeah, so the wall, but no extra road there, but
Yes.
Landau goes behind, and that will be built out when the industrial units are built, is that correct?
It's future commercial, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the future commercial. And that would be subject to a separate development proposal?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any further questions from staff? For staff? No? Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Malakoff, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do not.
Commissioner Thompson?
I do not.
Commissioner Lee? No. Okay. Is there anybody in the public who would like to be heard on this item? Okay. Thank you. All right, well, then I'm going to close public comment on that particular item, and I will entertain a motion to begin discussion.
Make a motion to approve the tentative track map. Do I need to read the whole thing now?
I think you should read both recommendations, yeah.
I find that the project is consistent with the CEQA consistency analysis approved by the City Council on May 8th, 2024, and no further environmental review is required, and that we approve tentative track map 38902 based on the findings and conclusions contained in the staff report and subject to the attached conditions of approval with changes presented by staff as part of the staff report.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Great. All right, well, I for one am very pleased to get this second bit of the process before us and to move this forward. And, I'm always pleased to see any more housing, so I think that's wonderful. Anybody have any further comments before we vote? No? Okay, let's vote.
Okay, so let the record show a motion was made by Vice Chair Malakoff, seconded by Commissioner Thompson to approve item 2.8, tentative trackback number 38902, with Commissioner Lowe abstaining. Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on to public hearing item B, conditional use permit number 23-004.
The password for this podium? No? No. There you go. Okay. All right. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Manuel Rocha, Assistant Planner here with the City of Cathedral City. Today, I bring before you a conditional use permit number 23004 for the demolition of an existing 4,000 square foot vacant commercial building and the construction of a new 950 square foot drive-through with an outside seating area by the applicant John Caglia on behalf of Dutch Brothers Coffee. The proposed project is located at 34051 Day Palm Drive within the Cathedral City Marketplace Shopping Center. The property is zoned planned community commercial with the general plan designation of general commercial. The properties adjacent to the south and west of the center are zoned single-family residential and are developed with mobile home communities. To the north of the property is zoned planned community commercial and is developed with a pharmacy, which is currently a Walgreens. And to the east is zoned planned community commercial as well and is developed with commercial multi-tenant buildings. The photos seen here are a current view of the property. There is currently a 4,000 square foot commercial building. It was previously occupied by AutoZone and has been vacant for 16 years. AutoZone closed their business license in 2008. The current building will be demolished and a 950 square foot building with a drive-through will be constructed. The photos seen here, my apologies. So the Architecture Review Committee reviewed the project, including the site layout and design, and recommended Planning Commission approval for the project. Here you will see the proposed site plan, which Hal mentioned includes a 950 square foot coffee shop, a 440 foot drive-through that will accommodate stacking for up to 18 vehicles, which will wrap around the western and southern perimeter of the property. In addition, an outside seating area will be constructed for customers to sit and enjoy their coffee. Other additional improvements to the site include a 10-foot by 20-foot loading area, bike rack storage, and a new trash enclosure constructed to city standard. Dutch Bros will implement a runner system at the proposed facility that is designated to increase speed and efficiency in serving drive-through customers, in which Dutch Brothers employees travel from vehicle to vehicle to greet customers and take orders. Just something to note for the record, on May 14th, the Planning Commission was provided a traffic management plan that was sent to you guys via email. The applicant will provide a presentation going over the traffic management plan. Here you will see the elevations for the proposed building. The building will consist of a contemporary architectural style and is designed in accordance with the Chains corporate architecture. The building will consist of a color scheme that is reflective of the corporate colors. Canopy awnings will be provided over all entrances and service doors, including a large 300 square foot canopy over the customer walk-up service window. The building will also include decorative aluminum metal awnings and patios on the north and south elevations. Desert landscaping will be provided throughout the project site and along the right-of-way of Date Palm Drive. Something to note is a condition of approval has been included to enhance the landscaping fronting on Date Palm Drive around the drainage easement, at the project ingress access, and around the existing monument sign. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission find the project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section number 15303, class 3. Staff also recommends that the Planning Commission approve conditional use permit number 23004, subject to the attached conditions of approval and based on the findings contained in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions, and the applicant is here as well for any questions.
Thank you. I mean, it's really barely even a question, but 16 years?
Yes.
That's a really long time. Do we know if there's been prior attempts to do something at that building, or?
That is something I don't have knowledge of yet.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Vice Chair Malakoff, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Can you go back to the landscape plan? And I'm just wanted to get some clarification. So the property line basically goes up to the right-of-way line.
Are you referring to the one nearest Date Palm Drive?
Yes.
So the property line does extend all the way to Date Palm Drive.
Okay, and then that's what you related your condition to, and
Correct.
were we gonna put in a condition about if any palm trees were removed, that they be replaced? Existing.
So we didn't draft the condition, but why don't we go ahead and discuss what the question was?
Okay. So the question that Commissioner Vice Chair Malakoff is referring to is a condition that would require the applicant to, if he were to remove an existing tree, he would need to replant it in a certain area on the same property.
And more particularly, the concern had to do with the palm trees that are existing along the Date Palm frontage. And so the landscape plan does show that those palm trees are expected to remain in place during the redevelopment of the site. However, in the instance of an inadvertent removal or damage of the tree that would need to be removed, it was suggested by Vice Chair Malakoff that a condition be placed on the project that would then require that tree to be replaced. And so if that's a condition that's amenable to the commission, then staff would recommend putting it in there.
Since they're on the site plan as existing, if they did remove one for whatever reason, then staff, is a condition even necessary? Would staff ensure that that palm tree be either relocated or replaced?
You would want to put that condition in there.
Okay. All right, we'll bring that up during the discussion. And then appreciate you sending out the traffic plan, and I'll have some questions for the applicant on the queuing of the drive-thru.
Commissioner Thompson?
I have a really simple question, I think. I noticed on the diagrams there are sidewalks and they're labeled sidewalk by others. What does that mean?
You are referring to the site plan? Is that correct?
Yes.
You're were actually on the diagram just now.
On the
Yeah,
landscape.
the landscape plan.
Meaning the landscape architect's not going to do it.
That is a good question.
Where are we looking? Commissioner Thompson, where are we looking?
Well, it's on this diagram right here.
It's right below the two mesquite trees.
Oh, sidewalk by others, I see.
Yeah, if I was reading that, that's the landscaping architect stating that that's not in their purview, but it is on the engineering site plan, if you notice that.
Yeah, it's on the site plan as well as this, so. I was just curious, what does it mean?
So the others would be the contractor that's doing all the rest of the parking lot.
Okay. That was it, thank you.
Commissioner Lowe? Commissioner Lee?
Yeah, and some of these questions may not be for you. You can just refer to the applicant if that works better. The first, if you go back to the traffic flow you had there, which came from the traffic plan.
Yes.
That one. So in the traffic plan, the top green arrow, the pointy end of the green arrow, it says in there that there will be a sign at that point that says, please wait here. And that suggests that the green arrows are forming a secondary queue. So has that been agreed with the leaseholder, or is that all approved by?
Yeah, in fact, their CCNRs, if they don't have it in there, and I'm familiar with other projects in there, they do, but we do have conditions in there in case they don't, that they have to have a mutual drive aisle access covenant, which would allow that, but their CCNRs, I believe, already account for the fact that there's going to be mutual parking and mutual drive aisle on that.
Yeah, it seemed not so much to be parking as
If they
a
don't,
queuing system, if they've got
Correct.
more than 18
Now-
vehicles.
if you read the queuing plan that was sent to the Planning Commission, which is the on-site traffic plan, we saw the same thing on staff, and we requested the plan. That plan came in, and I'll just tell you that, to me, it was like a gold standard of a traffic management plan, because you could still park in that whole area there, and you can get out. So they provide provisions that there's always gaps to be able to get in and out of the parking lot. Unlike other places I've been through, you can't even access the parking spaces.
Okay, all right.
So it at least satisfies engineering, and it's referenced in the conditions of approval by document, date, and name.
Okay. And then in the staff report, it also mentions that as well as the two lanes of cars going through to get drinks and food, there will be some sitting area, which I assume is outside because there's no access to the building by the public. So where on this diagram is the actual seating area?
Correct. So the seating area will be located where the walk-up window is at, which would be here on the south side of the property.
Oh, okay. So what is the process then? So somebody goes through the drive-through, they get their drinks, then they go park somewhere and they walk back to the seating area.
So the drive-through is mainly to receive your coffee and take it home or wherever it might be.
Right.
The walk-up window is another option if you decide you want to get off and hang out in the outside area.
Oh, so there's actually another walk-up window that you can go to.
Correct.
I didn't get that from the thing. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further questions for staff? No? Okay. I believe we do have questions for the applicant.
Please state your name for the record.
Sure. Name is John Gaglio with Dutch Brothers Coffee. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, thank you. Vice Chair Malkoff, some questions.
Yeah, I just, have some questions about the traffic management plan. I think one of the biggest issues that we face right now with drive-throughs is when they back up into the through lanes in the shopping center to block traffic from people that are trying to cross. And in a lot of the older drive-throughs, that's a real problem now. More so since the pandemic, I guess. So it's my understanding that you basically have room for like 18 cars, right?
Yes, currently we're showing for 18, and then as the other gentleman noted, that the green line is for worst-case scenario, if there was stacking up into the shopping center, that's where they would stack up.
So if you had a particular rush, would one of the runners prevent people from backing up into a lane of traffic in the shopping center?
So at our peak times, we would have several runners out there, like, I'll use the example of In-N-Out. They have a couple people out there. We will have probably 4 to 5 people outside of the building at any given time during our peak times, and they're strategically placed throughout this map. So like right there where the green arrow stops right before the gap for the drive aisle, we would have probably somebody there making sure that no one blocked that aisle and then queuing them or directing them into the queue for the double drive-through. So
Yeah, that's really important because I think in a lot of the shopping centers in both our city and our sister cities, you have people driving, and they want to take their place in the drive-through and they're sitting blocking traffic. And then if you want to get out of the shopping center, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So your people will be trained to prevent that kind of situation from happening so that people can get through in the lane of traffic.
yeah, and one thing that's very unique to Dutch Bros, I know you don't have a lot of them out here yet, but hopefully you get to go to one soon. But one of the unique things to us is we have no speaker boxes. So every order is taken personally by a runner. So we'll have 2 or 3 people out there with iPads during the busy time going to every car. So one thing we do very unique, like you see, we have 2 lanes going into one. Well, it's not really 2 lanes going into one. There's a little hash line right about here allows cars what we call our escape lane. So if you actually get your order behind somebody, you are able to get out of the lane and drive off without actually wait for everyone to go through the queue. So our motto is speed. We want to get you in out in less than 30 seconds.
One other thing I noticed in some of your drive-throughs specifically is, I can't point, but when you enter the drive-through and then the 2 lanes merge to one, and you go to the window, and some of the Dutch Brothers have people outside and some don't. So I guess the older ones don't really they weren't conditioned to have somebody outside.
It depends on the volume and peak demand. Obviously, if it's slower, you would come to the window and actually order at the window and be served at the window. But based on the experience of our stores that we've just recently opened in Southern California, there's usually 2 to 3 people outside at all time.
So what I was concerned about is in the merge, if both cars are going to the window at the same time, does the runner control who goes to the window? Because I saw an experience where there were 2 cars and nobody moved.
Well, and that, I can't speak for that situation, but usually we have people out there directing traffic. If there's no one out there, obviously it's, kind of on the honor system, who goes first and what window. But the idea is that you wouldn't even make it to our window most of the time. You would actually get your beverage before you came to the window. So that's one thing that's unique too, because In-N-Out doesn't do that. They take your order at the car, but they don't bring you your food until you actually hit the window. We will actually bring you your beverage before you even hit the window. That's why we have that escape lane. So you're able to actually get out of the line before you even get to the building.
So like I said, like you said, you can't speak to the exact situation I'm bringing up, but if that were to occur theoretically, now with the way that you're doing things, one of those people might already have their drink and just want to leave.
Yeah, and that's why we have, it's a little hard here, but that whole hash here, right here, this is still also drive-through. We just hash it out, but that's actually literally like a double lane to get out to if you wanted to.
But there's a person that's making sure that the drive-through is flowing.
Yes, there should be always somebody outside directing traffic. Yes.
I noticed in your management plan, so you have 3 people that are going to be out there, And it sounds like the Dutch Brothers traffic controller is the main person that understands what's going on.
Yeah, all of our runners are trained on how to operate the drive-through lanes outside. So that way we don't have to rely on one person. All of our staff are trained to deal with traffic.
Okay, that answers my questions. I think my main concern is that that people driving in the center be able to get through. And it sounds like you have that managed, and, except for, in the area, except for In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A, nobody else does that.
Yeah, like I said, we're very unique that we don't have a speaker. We actually bring you your food. We actually don't have any food, our beverages to you. So like I said, our goal is to get you in and out under 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Chair. I think I have two questions. First off, follow-on question about the drive-through and the parking and so forth. Your parking lot entrance is right next to this drive-through to buy beverages. Does your person that's out there controlling parking direct them to the parking lot?
If somebody wants to park to go to the pickup window, they're doing that on their own. We don't direct them to where they park. The only people out there directing people that are going through the drive-through, not people parking.
So if somebody came up and went into the parking lot by mistake, it's their mistake, period.
I'm trying to understand the question. So if they enter off of Dave Palm and they want to park and walk up to a building based on all the parking field in front, or actually that we have in front of our store, they would be able to do that on their own without us interfering with that.
Okay. I'd like to go back to the previous question that I had for staff, and that is on some of the drawings, there's a reference to sidewalks by others and trash enclosure by others.
We would
Is that
obviously
your-
construct what was required under the conditions of approval. Obviously, it's sidewalks by others, but if it's required by us, we would construct that. Same thing with trash enclosure. We would be constructing our own trash enclosure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Lowe?
Nothing.
Commissioner Lee?
Yeah. I was lucky enough to actually visit two of your locations this morning via YouTube, so I did get to go through the drive-through in Mesa and Tucson.
Okay.
How many stores do you have?
By the end of this year, I think we'll have 800. We will have 1,000 by the end of next year. Our current public goal is 4,000 stores nationwide.
And how close is your nearest one to this new location?
I think we do have one in Palm Springs, I believe. I couldn't speak to that. I live in Temecula. I've opened just recently 5 in the Southern California market, but every one of them's a great success and great community involvement in them. So.
Okay. I had a quick question about the logistics, and it's new to all of us, so I think that's the problem. But so I get into the lane and I give my order and they take it on the tablet. Runner comes out with my drinks. And then I want to get out. I think you were saying that the escape lane's just at the very end of the lane. So.
Well, for this one, if you see right here, this is where it starts. So from here on, there's a double lane next to the drive-through. From this point on, sorry.
That's okay.
Where it's hashed, kind of looks like a fire lane, but it's not. That's what we call our escape lane. So I would say from this car forward, if you got your drink here, you'd be able to leave. You got your drink here, you would be able to leave. You got your drink, you would be able to leave here. And if you got your drink here, you'd be able to leave.
So if I'm in the other lane, the runner stops the traffic going through the other lane so I can cross over and get out the escape lane?
The idea would be, well, at the same time, we try to give you your drink as you ordered it. So I'm not going to get a drink back here to this person before I give the person here their drink.
Right.
So it's based on a queue. The idea is that if you're 2-3 cars back behind somebody, you still don't have to wait for the car in front of you to get out. But there's not going to be somebody getting a drink all the way back here before somebody up at the front queue.
And then to go back to the walk-up window, so I know the drinks for the cars going through, typically they're ordering and paying at the tablet, so they're not handling payments at the window. But obviously for the walk-up you do. So that's a separate window from...
That's a separate window.
Okay. If I want to go to that window, and then I want to sit in the sitting area. So you've got that parking area in the middle, as it were, but that's not intended for those customers, is it? Is that just for staff?
No, we try to leave the parking stalls closest to the building, accessible for customers. We obviously, for here, we probably have because we do have a reciprocal access agreement and reciprocal parking agreement with the shopping center. We probably have our staff park, further away to allow our customers closer access to the building.
So what is the ADA pathway if somebody wants to park there and
So I
they're going to have
believe-
to cross those 2 lanes of traffic?
Yeah, so I believe the parking is right here for the ADA, and then they would, the ADA path of travel would be here and then here to the front if they were a handicap patron to park there, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions for staff? Excuse me, for the applicant. I apologize.
I have questions for the staff.
Yeah. It's too late for that.
All right.
All right. Nothing further? Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you. I just want to let you know too, on the palm thing, I'm a big fan of palms. Just kidding. So.
It's actually a good question. You don't have any intention of getting rid
No,
of the palms?
no, we would keep every palm that's there, and if one is inadvertently damaged, it would be, replaced, so.
So you wouldn't object to that?
No, I wouldn't object if there's any palm that's not within the development, it looks like on that Dave Baum Drive, there's some palms there. We would not disturb those palms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any member of the public that would like to be heard on item 2B?
We have no one in the audience wishing to speak.
Okay, thank you. Then with that, I will close the public comment section of this item, and I'd entertain a motion.
Before we do that.
Sure.
I'd like to add a condition of approval just to protect these, mature palm trees, that if any existing palm trees are removed, that they'll be replaced with like species.
So you're more than welcome to have a motion with that addition, and then we can discuss it.
Okay, I make a motion that we find that the project's exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15303, Class 3, small conversion, new construction or conversion of small structures, and we approve conditional use permit 2304, subject to the attached conditions of approval and based on the findings contained in the staff report, and add a planning condition of approval that if any existing palm trees are removed or damaged, that they'll be replaced in kind.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
You can have it, Craig.
All right, so I'm still sort of at a loss that this property has been vacant for 16 years. That's remarkable. Zombie buildings like this really do a lot of damage to the surrounding area. It makes it harder to bring in new businesses. So anytime I see a new business open in a space that's been vacant for so long is good news. I think it's good news. It also doesn't hurt that I happen to like the Dutch Brothers aesthetic, so that's good. And then I'll just say that I have so much faith in us. I believe that if Rancho Mirage can handle an In-N-Out, we can handle a Dutch Brothers. I think that'll be just fine. Regarding the addition of the tree amendment, I'm honestly agnostic about it. That's okay, but I would be interested in what Commissioner Thompson has to say about the tree issue.
I don't think we should be planting palms.
See, I saw that coming.
That's my opinion. But as far as the plan, the request and application, I have no question, no qualms, issues with what's been submitted in the motion that's been put forth.
Anybody else have anything to say?
I would just I'd agree with the chair's comments. I mean, we unfortunately have quite a number of properties that have been left vacant for a long period of time. We saw the lodge come up at a previous meeting, and that building had been abandoned and broken into and graffitied. So any new business, I look forward to seeing. I'm really pleased to see that this company has decided to put their store in Cathedral City when the nearest one is miles away, instead of being, another type of store that may have outlets on every corner of a city. So this will actually add some unique character to the area. So I'm pleased about that.
And, we compare the East Valley with the West Valley. So I think that we're happy to be the first West Valley city to be able to get a Dutch Brothers that can compete with Indio and La Quinta. Also, I think we want to welcome you to the city too. And I was really happy with the amount of time and effort you spent on having a traffic plan, because I think that's really important, and especially now that people are using drive-throughs more and more. So I want to thank you for spending time on that and having such a good plan.
Any further comments? Okay, well, with that, let's vote.
Let the record show a motion was made by Vice Chair Malakoff, seconded by Commissioner Thompson, to approve conditional use permit number 23-004 with the added condition of approval number to be assigned. Motion passes with all ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the non-public hearing items. Item 3 is a discussion on future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items we'd like to discuss?
Not this evening.
All right.
Will we be having in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question. It's not really a future agenda item, but we ran into this situation last meeting because we're learning this new system, and I just wanted to understand the minutes do not reflect the agenda of the last meeting, in that the numbering was off.
Yeah, the number.
And the same thing is true this time.
They're working on the template on the back end, so hopefully by next meeting, it should be squared away so that it's easier to follow.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good point. All right, item 4, commissioners' reports. It's kind of like commissioners' comments. Yeah, okay. Any comments or reports? No? Yes, Commissioner Lee.
Just one item I thought, interested me, so I thought I would bore you with it. The Architectural Review Committee got to see the 6 plans for ADUs at their last meeting. So if you want to look at those, and I thought they were very good, very nice plans. But those are the plans that will be free to the public if they want to use one of those for an ADU. And so they did a nice job on it. And if you want to see those, I'm sure that they're available somewhere. Yeah. Or you could review the ARC meeting to see the discussion. So.
And Danny and I attended the State of the City, and we got to meet the new 5th member of the Architectural Review Committee. So they finally got a landscape architect. So we were happy to meet him, and I think he's already started.
Yeah.
So that was good news.
Any other comments and/or reports? No? Okay. Item 5, the city attorney comments.
I have no comments for you tonight.
Any reports?
No.
Okay.
But it's a pleasure to see you all again.
Good. Yeah, hi. Number 6, staff comments.
Nothing for me.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, the time is 6:54, and I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.